Welcome back to Grow Joyfully. Today we are going to roast a large piece of pork and make a really yummy dinner. So let's get started. I'm going to be using this wonderful cast iron Dutch oven again, and I'm going to add some oil and some butter to the bottom of it, and then we're going to brown the roast really well on both sides. This is such a big roast. I was going to try to cut it in half, but it has a bone in it and I won't be able to. So I'm going to try to fit it in here best I can and see if we can brown it, even if we do it a little bit at a time, because it's just too big. The roast is so big that I had to cut off the sides and the corners to fit it in my Dutch oven. So I'll just take the rest of that meat and put it in a gallon baggie and mix it up with some barbecue sauce and stuff so that I can use it down the road and just throw it in the crock pot with a can of root beer and more seasonings, and I can make pulled pork sandwiches with it. But for now, we are going to put this roast in and brown, see if we can fit it in. I did it. I made it fit. So what we're going to do is brown it really well on both sides, and I'm going to put away the rest of the pork to use later. I just got it turned over to the other side, and the reason I have these lines in here is because I wanted to make sure that there was a bone all the way through. And I think this will help it cook clear to the center better. I'm going to be cooking it for a long time anyway. So as soon as I get it all browned, I'm going to add the seasonings. And before I put it in the oven, I'll add slices of onions across the top. I'm going to put some carrots on either side, and then we're going to have baked potatoes, a big green salad, and fruit salad, which I know the kids will really love. I'm also going to make some of those wonderful sourdough discard hamburger buns for rolls, and we are going to have a really nice dinner. It's also my daughter-in-law's birthday today, so we're going to have a nice birthday party for her, and I've got to get a cake made too. So let's see if I can get this stuff done. Now I'm getting the sourdough discard and yeast rolls ready. The sourdough discard and yeast bread dough is all ready. It's in the bowl and it's rising. Okay, now it's time to make the lemon chiffon cake that I'm going to make for my daughter-in-law's birthday. And right here, first of all, it's from the Betty Crocker cookbook from probably, I'm thinking 1998, something like that. So we have the 8 egg whites here and the 8 egg yolks here. I'm going to take this in and use it in my stand mixer and get it all whipped up with 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And then we'll add the rest of the ingredients to this bowl. Okay, I have all the ingredients gathered, and as you can hear, my mixer is in the pantry there, beating up fluffy egg whites with 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. So I have 8 eggs here, and we are going to add 1 1/2 cups of sugar and mix it well. I always do this part just in a bowl by hand since the mixer's busy making fluffy egg whites. So we'll get this mixed up, and we need 1/2 cup of oil. I use avocado oil. Get that stirred up. Then 3/4 cup of water. And we'll get that stirred up. Okay, we're getting that stirred up, and instead of using 2 teaspoons of vanilla like the recipe calls for, I use 2 teaspoons of lemon juice because I just really like that lemon taste. And then it calls for 2 teaspoons of grated lemon peel. I don't feel like the zest gives it enough of a lemon taste. That's why I substitute lemon juice for the vanilla. Okay, so now let's go back over our recipe. We have 1 1/2 cups of sugar. We have 3/4 cup of cold water, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and 2 teaspoons of fresh grated lemon peel. So we added that to our 8 egg yolks. Now what we're going to do is add 2 cups of flour, and I already added to the flour, I sifted the flour just to see if it'll make it even fluffier and lighter. It doesn't call for sifted flour here, but I'm going to do that. So I also put in the 3 teaspoons of baking powder and the 1 teaspoon of salt. So we're going to add that to this mixture. And then what we'll do, we'll get out my tube pan, and you don't grease it at all. And you cook this at 325 for 75 minutes. My roast is going to have to cook at 325 for 75 minutes along with the cake. But you have to get really creative and crafty when you only have 1 oven, and you need to make wise use of your time. So hopefully this will all turn out. So we've got this batter mixed up really well. We've got all the ingredients in it because we went back and checked. And now I'm going to get the tube pan, and we've got to get those egg whites out of there and get them added before they lose their volume. Here's my tube pan, and yes, it is very old. This was my mom's. My mom baked a whole bunch of cakes in this. She made angel food cakes, chocolate cakes, spice cakes, you name it. I feel very privileged to have it, and I've made a lot of cakes in it myself, starting from when I was a young teenager. So here's the 8 egg whites. They are nice and fluffy. I added a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and it's time to add the batter with the eggs and oil and everything else like that slowly over the top of the egg whites and fold in slowly and carefully. I just add a little bit at a time, and then just fold it in. Time to add some more. And gently fold in. Got to get clear down to the bottom to get all the batter mixed up. And then we'll add the last little bit. Grow Joyfully Homestead, where the cooking and the living is real, with no sets or pretense, just real life. I can't help it if there's some mess now and then. And we'll finish folding that in and get it in my mom's tube pan at 325. And then we'll start getting it baked for 75 minutes. Sometimes when it looks like it's going to be too full in the tube pan, I have a little tiny bread pan that I fill it up with. That way it won't go over in the oven. I'm going to have the roast in there, and somehow I'm going to have to fit the rolls in there and some baked potatoes, but I will put that on the convection oven setting, and hopefully this will work out. Okay, you don't want to overmix, just make sure it's mixed out of the bottom. There you go. Okay, we got the batter poured into my mom's tube pan, and I'm going to save the rest of it and put into a little loaf pan. It's time to make the lemon frosting, and I made it pretty much like I did for the banana cake. But I put in 3½ cups of powdered sugar this time instead of 2. And I'm going to be using cream to make it more of a frosting, and not just a glaze, but kind of somewhere in between a glaze and a frosting. So I've got 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, a teaspoon of lemon zest, 3½ cups of powdered sugar, and 4 tablespoons of melted butter. So we're definitely going to need more cream. I'm sorry. I try to get measurements for you guys, but when I cook, I don't measure very often because I've done this so much. If it's something brand new that I'm doing, well, then I'll do that. I will measure it. I will follow the recipe. But other than that, I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants because I've been cooking and baking for, easily over 50 years, from when I was a very young teenager, and probably a kid before that, just always helping my mom. She'd have us come in and do this, have us come in and do that. And then by my senior year, I was pretty much doing all of our cooking, just because I loved it. If I was busy with basketball or cheerleading or things like that, then of course my mom would cook, but I really love to cook and bake. That's something I can do. For whatever reason, that's the talent God gave me. That and snuggling babies. So that is Sherry in a nutshell. I also added a pinch of salt just to give it a little more flavor. I decided to put in some more lemon zest and some more lemon juice because I really like the frosting very lemony. And I needed to make it a little bit thinner because, like I said, it's between a frosting and a glaze. I have to be able to pour it over the cake and have it cascade down the sides. Okay, so the frosting's ready. I'm just going to cover it up with some paper towel, clean up my area, and then I need to get the rolls in the oven. Okay, I have the pan greased for the rolls. The dough has risen really well. And there are the rolls. I'm going to use the rest of the bread dough and make a loaf of bread. Right now I'm going to melt some butter and brush it over the top of the rolls. Looks like the cakes are done and time to get them out. Just have to let them cool and take them out to frost them. That's how the little cake came out. Tastes really good. They're finished and the bread and the roast. The roast looks yummy. I just have the baked potatoes to do, and this meal is coming together. Well, I have the dinner finished. I have the roast in here, the baked potatoes, and I have the cake done, and the rolls, and a big green salad. I'm going to make the fruit salad at my son's house. But now it's time for me to go and get going to see my third oldest son and his wife and little kids, and then my oldest daughter and her little kids. And we're going to get together for my daughter-in-law's birthday. It's so nice to have family to do things with. It definitely keeps me going. I hope you enjoyed seeing me put together a whole and complete entire dinner. And I hope you have a great day and you do it joyfully. Please come by again.